what it takes to win at war, sort of thing. Because a lot of people don't understand this. You know, there's some that are like here in a super chat. Somebody says here, Ryan Stone is.
You can be like, okay, all right. I was only playing games. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I mean, is his e-commerce brand real? No, that's a lie. Bunch of shit. I know that for a fact. He ain't got no 9-figure e-commerce brand. Dude's a web developer. So the guy's, he ain't even rich. I mean, is he jacked? Yeah, he takes a few bit a year, a bunch of cocaine. He goes to MMA class twice a week. Yeah. I know who he trains with. And all the pictures of him doing homosexual work, because that's what he was doing. He was doing a bunch of gay for pay stuff, a bunch of gays to work for money. All those pictures of him doing that on his gay profiles are on their way.
But as you play the game, you go through the motions and you're left with options. And
right.
Did this level of thinking come from playing chess? Was this something that your father...
A lot of influence and a lot of power and a lot of money. And if I say, look, this guy's upset me, they don't ask why. It's not like, oh, does he deserve it? I put a tweet up on my account, which is now banned. And I said the true mark of a friend is as follows. And I'll tell you this story. It's a very quick story. But in a club, I saw a fight and a guy got punched. And his friends all like ran over and started asking the guy who...
We're in a circle. And I think that's incredibly... I mean, it's a lost art. It's something that used to exist. I don't think it exists as much as it used to in the past. So it's one of the reasons why I like talking to you, Andrew, about stuff like this is you've got a way of thinking and dealing with things that most people ignore or avoid, or they're scared of, you know, dealing with, right? It's frightening. It's too much. You know, is this guy gonna, whatever. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the strategy that you use and share a personal story that I have, because I dealt with something similar to this.
Yep.
I don't know, it was maybe about 15 years ago, right? So I used to have these 3 people that used to work with me. 2 of them were employed with me. One odd sort of strategy that we're talking about right now, right? Like, why would you mess with a championship kickboxer publicly and then back down that quickly, right? Clearly, what you did worked.
And you know, you nailed. I grew up in a very impoverished place because the reason gangs exist are for survival, man. This is why people join them. This is like, I grew up with needing guys who I knew would fight next to me. And just because I have money, nothing about my mindset has changed. It's exactly the same. And I think a lot of people try and pretend it's not real. Like guys like Colton or Ryan Stone or whoever want to sit there and pretend that Twitter is the be-all and end-all of the world. It certainly isn't. Twitter's a website. There's real people. I'm a real person. I'm sovereign. I exist. One day you might see me. It's the guy next to you prepared to take an ass kicking along with you. Because if he's not, why is he even your friend? You know, like, this goes beyond. So Colton Dobson was a fun little thought experiment. And it was, you know, it was fun for me to mess with. But it goes to show everything you're saying about the people who are close to you. They're either on, firstly, they need to be on your side, but secondly, they're your weakness. Look at what I did to Scott Adams. You see Scott Adams' wife?
Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah, that was great. Can I tell the story? So Andrew and Scott Adams, and if you know who Scott Adams is, I mean, he's on Twitter. He's very popular. He does coffee shows and blah blah blah. Writes books, and he's married to a younger, very attractive woman. She's what, like 25, 30?
Something like that, yeah.
And he's got to be into his 50s, maybe even 60. He's significantly older than him.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that relationship, I knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious one to me. I looked at the dude and thought, okay, that's how I piss him off. Spend the money on, spend it all.
And by the way, in the Toronto market right now, in this price point, there's very little on the market, man. There's not much going on. We've got serious supply shortages in the exotic car space. Terry says, Andrew, how much conversation and time needed to be spent?
I'm in drive towards my goals because I'm the man and I'm trying to conquer the world. So she finds her bonding with me in her mutual interest in my success. When Genghis Khan was conquering the earth, you think he had to come home and talk knitting with a bitch? 20 minutes, boom, done. You need to know important people. And you're only going to know important people like the value of shit, right? You're going to give, and I've got a kind of okay hand. And you put a bit of money in. You know, you put a couple hundred in, whatever. And then some guy raises you like 10 grand. And you're sitting there going, why did I start this? Why did I start this stupid? Now am I going to go 10 grand in on this crappy hand, 7 and queen, some drama? And that's a really important point. I ignored Colton for 3 years. I ignored him and all his stupid digs for years. I'm a all or nothing guy. I either just basically ignore you, I might reply a little, or just walk you, whatever. But if the second I decide to go to war, it must be won. It's blitzkrieg. You can't half do anything. It's better to do nothing than to half do something. So he absolutely nailed it. Don't start something you weren't prepared to finish. If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline, I wouldn't have done anything. But the fact is, I was ready to instruct my son upon coming of age to find his children and litigate them into poverty once again. This was going to be generational. His great-grandson would be eating scraps from a trash can, talking about the day his great-grandfather messed with Andrew Tate. It was never going to end. Never. And that's the point. It was all or nothing. So if you're, and this is a lesson for life, you gotta keep this in mind. If you're ever in a bar, I say in a lot of my podcasts how I try and avoid street fights. I really avoid them at my absolute best. There's been a whole bunch of times I've walked away, people can call me a pussy, and I walk away. Because I know once it goes down, someone's gonna die. And it might be me. I'm not saying I'm Superman, right? But it's either, for me, it's nothing, but if it's on, if there's two of them and there's a knife on the table, I'm just stabbing people. I'm not punching nobody. I don't know how many friends they got. I don't know if they got weapons. It's all or nothing. I'm that guy. So you have to be like that in your mind. If you're going to go, you got to go. Or don't do anything.
100%. Paul follows up, LOL, and don't worry, I'm driving while I watch this. Paul's, you'll probably see it on the gram at some point this weekend. We're doing a bit of a retreat. Me and Paul and a few other guys this weekend up north. It's going to be a good time. Damian Platz. People don't put... That's Ron is Romanian, isn't it?
Yes, Ron is Romanian. That's about $7 or $8.
People don't put enough emphasis on the importance of having a powerful network. It's true, guys. A useful network. I mean, listen. I know not Paul. I know that Andrew has his war room. I've got my own community. People will flick boogers at these things, but they don't understand.